Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video and a whole community of players have been locked out of Hearthstone for quite some time now and want to go into what exactly has happened. It's a very interesting story, one that I hope to see leads to more support for this community. Also, Nova says hello. Doesn't she look thrilled? Just to remind you guys that we are nearing 58,000 subscribers. We're only a couple hundred subscribers away from our next big giveaway, and of course, we're on the road to 60K. There'll be a giveaway every 1,000 subs until then, so hit that sub button, make me go broke. But what am I talking about with an entire community being locked out of Hearthstone? Well, there was this Reddit thread posted just the other day that I wanted to go over, kind of tell their side of the story, because this whole thing you're probably not even aware of is about the blind community. Basically, over the past year or so, there have been efforts made by a guide dev who is a volunteer to help make basically a mod that they're able to put into the regular desktop version of Hearthstone to allow players that basically can't see to play the game. It's audio based and they're allowed to play it. It's also becoming more prominent that accessibility is offered to games like Last of Us 1 and 2 are ones that are really well known, and it's been really cool. I've gotten to know a lot of people in the community, the blind community as well. A lot of them have reached out to me to make this video, so I'm making this video. Hopefully you guys don't get mad that I don't go after Blizzard or something here too hard, but yeah, I wanted to go over it because it's just something that a lot of you guys might not even know about, and the fact that they're unable to play. And you might ask yourself why they're unable to play. We're gonna go through this Reddit thread. I don't normally just read a whole Reddit thread or anything like that on the channel, but this is really summed up well. I'll link it below. But basically, Blizzard right now, they rely on this guy, Guide Dev, this third-party mod developer to provide accessibility support for the game to visually impaired or blind players. Those of us in the blind community have lost access to playing Hearthstone since the last patch. The last patch came out a couple weeks ago or whatever, and or last week, I guess. And we're still waiting on patch notes and all that. By the way, still have not heard. Maybe later today, maybe tomorrow, hopefully soon, as the hardworking third-party mod developer Guide Dev is on vacation. And he actually tweeted that out. I believe this is on August 24th, on vacation for the next few weeks. So mid-September, you'll be able to pick things up and get back in there. And in a thread written by Blind as a Batgirl, they put here to preface this, Hearthstone's developers have been nothing but supportive. I am not putting any blame at their feet, as I note is not likely their decision on what needs to be worked on the most, nor am I blaming Guide Dev as he sacrificed so much of his free time to actually allow for us in the blind community to play a game like this. And it's mentioned here that the blind community has been welcomed by Hearthstone. Trailers for expansions are now provided with described narration. I actually have an example here. I was quote retweeted by Superblindman, who we'll talk about in a second. Basically, it plays through and the narrator describes what's happening on the screen to give them, you know, more accessibility. Even Superblindman himself said, remember this, blind players, look once again how welcome we are in this community. This isn't some expansion we only get to watch everyone else play. We're invited to play it along with them. I know I've said this before, but it's hard to overstate. I love this, and it's so cool to see everyone involved, like everybody, regardless of, you know, you're visually impaired or not. Superblindman's actually part of my community. He's been subscribed to my Twitch for quite some time now. Very active. He also gets very salty. He likes the salt and all that. I mean, why else would you subscribe to this idiot anyways? But yeah, it basically, this thread goes on to that it's kind of disappointing that after a full year of this accessibility mod's existence, Blizzard still hasn't diverted some resources to bring the entire game accessible natively. A subsection of this game's community can lose access for weeks if a major patch happens to coincide with Guide Dev's work or vacation schedule. Guide Dev has shown it is possible to make Hearthstone accessible. Seemingly one person on a volunteer basis can keep the accessibility up fairly well, and Hearthstone's development team has been as supportive as possible to him to allow him to keep the mod updated in relation to Blizzard's patch schedule. Every time a patch is released for the game, Guide Dev is required to re-add accessibility and adjust any new content included in the patch to work for us. This usually takes at least a day for a single volunteer to do, but sometimes up to a week if there's a lot of new content. Blizzard as a large company should have no problems with this kind of workload if a single volunteer can maintain it in their free time. It would be nice if priority was given to actually expand accessibility accessibility to the entire game. Hire 1 or 2 new developers that can work 100% on accessibility. I know the initial push would be the hardest. It's currently only 2 modes of the game are accessible with the mod. So they're only able to currently play standard and Battlegrounds. I don't know if this includes wild. I'm assuming it doesn't include like duels, arena. They would probably say that. So yeah, it's still limited in that realm. And I guess if they would have to expand it to other modes, they would have to expand the mod and then the work and all of that. Again, it's a 1-person volunteer operation right now. Likely if Blizzard were to take ownership of making the game accessible, they'd want to make the entire thing accessible, and they'd also have to make sure not to break accessibility in future patches, so it'd be an ongoing extra bit of work for them. However, accessibility in gaming is starting to be embraced by AAA gaming companies. Like I mentioned, Last of Us 1 and 2 are fully accessible, those without sight. More games like the upcoming God of War sequel are adding even more accessibility. Games should be accessible to everyone. I cannot disagree with that at all, and I'd love to see more of it, including, you know, more support from Blizzard. As someone who was sighted before and a gamer and lost their sight later, being able to play Hearthstone on the regular for this past year has been amazing. It was finally a mainstream game I could play on equal footing with my sighted friends, and a game my sighted friends actually would want to play. You have very, very patient friends. Just kidding. We love Hearthstone. We just love to rag on it too. I actually was able to play matches with my sighted husband for the first time in our marriage, and the fact I beat him soundly was just the icing on the cake. This last week without Hearthstone to play has been a very sober realization as how few options there are. Games we could play with sighted peers, especially mainstream games. In short, if Blizzard could put all these resources into runestones, see what I mean? You do this runestone stuff, it just opens the door to be pissed off that you're doing this crap and not doing something that would genuinely help the community, right? Like that's the thing. You can't help but get pissed off. Like, I'm sure the people that work on Hearthstone rather have accessibility to visually impaired than some stupid runestone thing, but you know, upstairs corporate, we got to get around gambling. We've been on it. It's just frustrating. Anyways, why don't they put some actual resources into giving the development team some help to adopt accessibility of Hearthstone natively? It's really horrible that we could lose access to the game so quickly through no fault of our own, especially when many of us are actually paying Blizzard for bundles, hero skins, and tavern passes. If we lost access to the game, we'd lose access to things we actually paid for. They are paying customers after all. This time, it'll likely only be a few weeks, hopefully, but it's a precarious existence when only one person has responsibility for the accessibility of the game. And that's the thing. What if Guy Dev gets locked up in something? He's not able to help out. Then does the accessibility go completely out of the water? So this is a contentious issue, of course. It's amazing that Hearthstone has this accessibility thing. It's amazing they put out these trailers to get people involved. I mentioned Superblindman. I got to get to know him. By the way, I'm going to link his Twitter and his Twitch below. Check out his Twitch. It's really cool to hang out when he's streaming these games that have accessibility. It's just really fascinating to see how these accessibility options are placed into the games, and also just the chat's going off because it's got like an audio reading out chat. It's just a really cool experience. But this past April, he was involved in the theory crafting. We had actual accessibility for the theory crafting stream. I was a part of many other content creators, but yeah, Superblindman was there, and it was really cool for him to get that opportunity. And yeah, it was just a great thing. So Hearthstone has been really invested into this, and I know behind the scenes they are very passionate about it. Celestalon in particular has been really involved and proud of the accessibility, and they really do want to push it more. I know from talking behind the scenes they are pushing a lot, but it takes a long time. And you guys, okay, just think about the runestones and think about the pay-to-win battle pass and how hard tooth and nail we have to bitch about any of that to possibly change. That's all money stuff. So like accessibility, and to hire 2 devs to work on accessibility, like mentioned that Reddit thread, that costs a lot of money, right? And if it's not going to bring in direct profit, it's just a feels good thing. It's really hard to convince these executive guys to do that, but they're trying, I assure you. Celestalon even tweeted this in response to basically someone in the community here saying a new Hearthstone patch was released today. Unfortunately, the Hearthstone Access mod by Guy Dev is not working anymore, so blind people can't enjoy the game until an update of the mod. Play Hearthstone. How about integrating Hearthstone Access in your product? And Celestalon responded. He is, again, very engaged with this. He's publicly open about it. We continue to work toward better accessibility natively in the client on our side. And in the meantime, all we can do is support the community mod. So they are really pushing for it. I know they are. I'm the guy that rags on Blizzard the hardest, right? But I do know this is important to them. They want it in the game. But again, it takes time. And when you're a multi-billion-dollar company like this and you got to fight for resources, it can take way too long, unnecessarily long, but I do believe I know the devs on the team want it to be there. It's just, can Blizzard give them that support? Because at the end of the day, they have limited resources they can work with. They need it. It's all around, it's like a bittersweet thing. It's really cool that the blind community is able to be involved in Hearthstone, actually play a game, not be locked out, but it sucks that they're locked out for a while, temporarily, depending on guide dev schedule, on the patch schedule, and I would love to see things improve, of course, and I want to get this out there, that more people know about the situation, more people know the blind community is actually a part of the Hearthstone community and playing with us, but not right now, and that kind of sucks. So I don't know, share this video, share this story, try and get it out there so maybe a bit more pressure is put on to some of the higher ups at Blizzard to give some more support, to get the game accessible to everyone so everyone can play, whether you're visually impaired or whatever it is. It's just a great thing because Hearthstone at the end of the day is a great community game. It's fun to play with others, and well, when you're locked out, it really sucks, especially when you're a paying customer. So how about less runestones and more accessibility, Hearthstone? Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.